Dan to Dan, episode 22, The Secret Art of Being Attractive. Who's out here being cute? Let's talk about it. Welcome back, Evan. So we were talking about Dan to Dan, episode 22, The Secret Art of Being Attractive. And the one who's out here trying to be attractive is this young man named Kinta. Now, Kinta is a chubby boy that goes to school with Okarun and Momo. Now, keep in mind, this is what they said in the description. I'm merely explaining what it is. Now, he has an alarm clock that goes off at 5 a.m. and you'll probably hear me refer to him as random guy from time to time because I didn't know his name was Kinta until the very end. But he's basically getting himself ready. He's got putting on the glasses. He's getting his hair slicked back. He's got multiple different color combs in his jacket that he can whip out anytime to fix his hair. And he starts walking to school all confident, and he's just like in the zone. But as soon as he gets up to the school and students start showing up, he starts talking to himself, like getting real low, trying not to be embarrassed or whatever the case may be. Now, with that being said, we see that Okarun is preparing to go to school same time. So he's walking up and he's been preparing on how to say good morning, properly, whatever the case may be. And he sees Momo, who is waiting. And he assumes that maybe Momo's waiting for someone else and she can't really be waiting for him or whatever the case may be. And Okarun ends up kind of going past and she ends up seeing him go past and then goes and bumps into him like, hey, you're late, been waiting on you. So they, get ready to go into class, and that's kind of where they're headed. Now, take a minute. Okarun, come on. There's been several instances where y'all have had a connection, y'all have been intertwined with each other throughout the course of this entire story of this anime we're watching. Why are you regressing to point where it's like, I don't know if she likes me when she was clearly like holding your hand and doing other things so that to really show that y'all were getting more and more comfortable with each other and that y'all could possibly have a relationship. Like, why are you shooting in this direction? Like, it doesn't make any sense for me as far as the story goes. Like, you're going backwards. I digress. Okarun ends up entering the class and he's reading a bunch of Phenomena magazines. So is Kinta, the random guy who's in there also reading different magazines. Like, there's one in particular that he's reading. It's got like sunglasses on it, and that'll come into play later. But he was reading these different like kind of Phenomena magazines as well. So they're both reading like Phenomena sci-fi type stuff. Now, Okarun ends up deciding to go look for Momo when they go on break. And during this entire time, Okarun's going to look for her. Momo's looking for him, and they're going back and forth. Cafeteria, shop, like they keep just missing each other until eventually they're both sitting on the benches. And we've seen these benches in earlier episodes where he's sitting on one side, she's sitting on the other. There's a walkway in between, but they don't see each other. So they're doing that. And while Okarun is sitting on his bench, Kinta is sitting on the bench opposite of the hedge. So I don't know the hedge height, so I can't see if they see each other, but they're all just kind of sitting there. And it seems like Kinta was following him around the entire time. He's trying to figure out something about Okarun. And we're trying to figure out what is it that he wants. Why is he following Okarun? What's the deal? Now, during the process of this, they end up bumping into each other. And looks like they kind of, when they turn and walk into each other, they may have inadvertently freaking, touch faces. And of course, Kenta sees it and several other people see it and they're like, oh my God, that's when we cut to the intro. Now, while this is going on, we see that the random guy, we're back in class, and the random guy, Kenta, is trying to get Okarun's attention and he is unable to successfully get his attention until he finally questions Okarun, with like some direct talk now. Hey, why is it that you're so popular with ladies, with Momo, with Ira? Like, you're so popular with everybody. Why is that? What is your secret? I need to know. So we see that basically look like he's been trying to mimic Okarun the entire time with the glasses, with the reading of the magazines, whatever the case may be. He's trying to unlock the secrets of Okarun's ability of being attractive to these young women. So while this is going on, Momo busts in is like, hey, I found you. And I found where your other nut is. Like, we gotta go get it. And during the course of this, three girls walk in and they're like hey, tell Momo, she needs to stop going in and out of classes because she's disturbing other people while they're having their study time because they study during breaks. So Momo apologizes, but she also says, Okarun, you can tell her no if you need to. If you don't, I can tell her for you. He's like, for what? Basically, they're insinuating that she's been harassing him and she needs to go away, and Okarun has no interest in her. And she's like, why would you think that? And Okarun was like, yeah, that's not the truth at all. Like, that's not it. The whole time he's trying to speak, but they're going at it. So of course Momo's like freaking this skank and this thing. Like they hear, she's like, you're not gonna sit here and tell me what to do. And she's like, he's only not saying nothing because he's scared because you've been bullying him. And it's just a whole back and forth. Like Momo getting ready to throw hands, and we already know how Momo is. She ain't playing no games. But during this, Kinta, the random guy, decides to interject, saying something about a 10-gallon wiener or something to that effect. And basically, because when they're talking about his ball, his nut, his things, it's considered spicy talk to him. So he decides to interject with his own form of spicy talk because he thinks that's cool. That's part of what Okarun is doing to attract these people's attention. And he's obviously got a crush on Momo as well because she's one of the popular girls in school. So what is it that Okarun's got that he doesn't, and so on and so forth. Little does he know. So with that being said, they end up having to take off and go look for everything because Momo was about to beat the crap out of the girl. She's the class rep, by the way, and that's one of the reasons why she was coming to Okarun's defense. But in the process of this, Momo was just like, "Yeah, we're gone." So they're basically after school, and they're going to look for the golden nut, and they're talking about, why is everybody coming to talk to him? Why is she acting like that? And basically, he comes to the idea that okay, he is popular now. And that's what Momo tells him, like you're popular. He's like, yes, I did it. She's of course laughing because he obviously didn't do it. It was who he was in relationships with Ira and Momo. That's what got his attention. And that's why people are more interested in Okarun now as opposed to never talking to him before. But he liked being talked to. He liked people approaching him because that's something new to him. So he's kind of leaning into the popularity, I guess, or the being social. So that's a great thing for him. But they're sitting there going to look for that golden, ball. And of course, Kenta is following them, and he ends up accidentally making himself known. They're looking at him like, why are you here? But next he gets tossed. And he gets tossed directly at Momo. And they're at this apartment complex, and I don't think it's abandoned or anything, but they're just apartment complex. So he gets tossed directly at Momo, and he's of course like, "Oh no, we're about to kiss. This is great. We're gonna." Yeah, no, none of that. Okaru goes into turbo mode and stops that immediately. And basically now they're on a chase to find this golden ball. And they chase this thing all the way to the roof, and they tell him, "Hey, you watch our bags. We're going after that." And they chase it, and they basically end up chasing to the point where they end up, having to jump off the roof to try and keep up with it, but they're unable to, and the ball counters them because again, something is holding the ball. We don't know what it is, but Okarun felt it when he went to grab it, but they can't figure out what it is. So them getting knocked off, and they're trying to recover and figure stuff out. And then as they try to regroup and get back up to go find the ball again, because they know something physical is holding it, but they can't see it, we see Kenta flying off the roof. So of course they got to save, Kenta because he's following them. He shouldn't be. And in the process of them saving him, they basically end up using him. Well, he uses them. So, hey, let's do this. He tries to do an attack, ends up blowing right past the thing, but now he's able to see from a different angle. And that's when he starts speaking about the magazine he was reading earlier. Some kind of retro reflective panels. So, think if you've ever seen like, the Avengers and Shield, so like that, with the reflective panels on the helicarrier. Same thing. This thing is using some kind of reflective thing to coat itself in the surroundings. So, the only thing you can see is the ball because the ball is probably a different type of magic or power or whatever the case may be. So even when it goes invisible, because it looks like it swallowed the ball, it's you see the ball when it goes invisible because that can't be covered, but the rest of the creature, apparition, whatever it is, can be covered. So, but now because they're looking at it from different angles, and when Momo actually gets thrown out and she's able to swing out, swing back around, she can actually see it from a different angle because it's trying to reflect towards Okarun or towards the other guy and to give the disillusion. But because she's at an outward angle, she is able to see what it is. So she's able to get hands on it. And Okarun is able to go all out and smash this dude. And when they smash it, they finally see it hit the ground. The retro reflecting stuff, goes away, and we see that it is a kaiju. It's some type of kaiju. They don't know what it is, but they're looking at it and like, okay, we can't see the ball anymore because the ball looks like it's inside the creature. So we got to go down and investigate. So they end up walking down to investigate, but before they even get 20 feet, this thing starts twitching and this thing starts growing. And this thing grows into a full size kaiju. And it is, several stories tall and it's about to wreck shop. So now the crew's got to deal with this. That's where the episode cuts off. Solid. We're getting to the other nut. They need to acquire some type of way. I don't know if they're going to call in the rest of the crew to come help, or they're just going to show up because they see this big thing wrecking the city. It's after school, so everybody should be free, but don't know what's going to happen at this point. But I'm curious to see how Okarun and Momo's relationship is going to go because it seems like they're kind of starting over, which I'm not too happy about. That just seems kind of, again, that doesn't seem like the best course of action, I guess, for this the story. It doesn't make any sense for the story, um, as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, we want to see Gigi and Evil Eye come in and do some fighting and do some good. So that would be nice to see at some point in time, and a little bit more Ira, Acrobatic Silky, would be nice to see as well. Again, get the band back together. We need to get into stuff. Remember, we still got uh old girl from the Keto clan who was coming to, I think it's like Naki or something like that, like, on the way to cause some ruckus at some point as well. So things are happening, things are moving. So I'm excited to see it. Good episode. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned. We're gonna keep talking about this more and more as we kind of go through the process, and we got some more good shows and stuff coming up, and some stuff coming to an end. Like, again, this To Be Hero X are kind of on their downward approach and stuff, I believe, as far as episodes. But we'll see how it goes. Until then, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.